Welcome to the Youngins Sports Podcast, the hottest place to bring you coaches, young players, and also NBA players. We got two NBA players. Quincy Pondexter, thank you for joining us, man. It's kind of crazy, bro. Before I let you talk, I think in the sports world, you got to value relationships. And I have two great relationships, through my man Mike G, Mr. Do It Moving, both
Yes, sir.
Quincy P, QP Ski, I say, and then also my dog, Ray McCallum, man. Thank you for joining us, Quincy, too, by the way, dog.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me. I've been watching y'all pod and I always wanted to jump on this thing.
Yes, sir, dog. And then, with you, the last time, I saw you was at Mr. Doing Moving with Anthony Davis, Drew Holiday during that time, Rondo, Julius Randle. Hey, man, those were some of the best times. And Swish had just started, too, by the way. And you were a pro, but now a lot has changed for you, Ski. Please just go a little bit of, just that journey from
Man,
what was that,
man,
2018, 2019?
19. So I remember those days because I had been through my injuries and I had my year with the Spurs and I had just got back to like really being myself again. And I just got healthy and it was probably like some of the best basketball I probably played in my life. Playing against AD every day, playing against Drew every day. You got all the clips. I remember you were just starting, and it was really unfortunate that at that time I never got to play in the NBA again. So like when I finally got healthy, finally cleared all the hurdles, finally being able to dunk again and play like I wanted to play. Um, you know, the past of being riddled with injuries, it didn't allow me to get the opportunity to play again, and so. Uh, I remember those days vividly, man, and some of the best hoops. Mike G's, of course, one of the best trainers in the world, and I'll cherish those days for sure.
Yeah, and before we, get into that path that you talked about not being able to play again, let me go over some of your accolades. Honorable mention in the Pac-10 All Freshman team, then first team, excuse me, first team All Pac-10. We weren't the Pac-12 yet, too, by the way.
Yes.
Then 9-year NBA pro, played for several teams: Memphis, New Orleans, San Antonio Spurs, so many. And it's just kind of funny that when we bring up the Pac-10 and Pac-12, the Pac-10 and Pac-12 aren't here anymore. Like,
Yeah.
and then also you ended up being a coach for Washington. But how does it feel when you hear the words that the Pac-10 and the Pac-12 is not even here anymore?
It really hurts because I got inducted into the Pac-10 Hall of Fame, Pac-12 Hall of Fame. And I was like, man, this is something my kids are gonna love and be able to I'm be able to share and cherish with them, and I'm gonna live in history forever. And then the conference like no longer exists, so it's like it's tough pill to swallow. And hopefully they could get all the schools back together and really form another good Pac-12. But that was some of the best basketball in that period of time to me. Like what I'm saying, because every night I had to play against an NBA player. So whether not even an off night, I can't even say an off night. Washington State, they had Tony Bennett. They ended up being peaking at number 2 in the country at one point in time. They had like Kyle Weaver and all these guys, Derrick Lowe. Aaron Baines was their like 5th guy, and no one really paid attention to him and being an NBA player. And then later on that tenure, you had like Klay Thompson, who was like we like try to like bully him as much as possible because he was like a young pup. And so every night you play against an NBA player, like a bad team like Arizona State, end up having James Harden and Pendergraph and Derek Glasser. I'm like, I don't think there's a conference that was that competitive and that high level in the country. Like out of the 10 teams, 7 were bona fide NCAA tournament teams. And so, it's definitely going to be sad to see it go.
Man, Ray, I'll let you go too after I say this, but it's kind of funny. I asked literally Clay, James, Steve Kerr, all the way down. Everybody has that same reaction, which is kind of crazy to me because
Yeah.
it kind of just shows you what that conference meant, and also to the competition level. It hasn't really steered away. I feel like everybody says the exact same thing, all the way down to when it was a Pac-8 when Kevin Love's dad was playing. He had that
Yeah.
kind of same thing to say. So it's kind of sad that it went, and for us too, especially out in the Cali, being able to see Arizona, UCLA, USC. Now everybody on the road, they end up going to what? Michigan, Ohio State, all those different places. So it's just kind of weird for
Yeah.
us too. But man, it's crazy. But go ahead, Ray.
No, that's funny y'all said that. I mean, I'm a kid from the Midwest. I was in Detroit, actually watching Q play back in the day. I mean, I wanted to go to Arizona or UCLA, but stayed home, played for my dad. But I'm gonna just dive right into it. Q, like, I've always followed you, known you, played against you, had a relationship, and when I saw when you retired and stopped playing, one thing that always stood out to me was like, you see this a lot. A lot of guys, when they're done, it's like, what am I going to do next? You're still young. You could have kept hooping. Obviously, unfortunately, you had some injuries. But what made you get into coaching? And like, at what stage in your career were you thinking like, maybe I want to coach one day?
Man, so in 2015, I always wanted to. I had a camp. You come to my camp. You know,
Yeah,
I had
yeah,
one
for
of the
sure.
most successful camps for an NBA player. 500-600 kids coming to camp here in Fresno. NBA players, 3, 4, 5 guys a year at least would come out to Fresno, and we'd spend a week out here. And I've always had a passion to giving back. Man, this game has provided me and my family for so much. And in 2015, I started an AU team, and I got so lucky that first little batch. You know, I had Jalen Green on my team. I had Julian Strother on my team, and a ton of other kids that end up going Division 1. And that just gave me the real coaching bug. After that first tournament, I was coaching 15s, 16s, and 17s, same tournament, and driving the bus, uh, washing the jerseys, drawing up plays, arguing with like dealing with parents. I had such a bug for it at that point in time, and I really invested my own money into it. I took it as an internship for the next 4 or 5 years. I was spending 6 figures plus a year every summer for these kids, and I looked at it as my own internship. And so whether it's getting Jalen Green, Josh Christopher, Julian Strother, end up getting Jaden Hardy. Man, I had a great bunch over a 4 or 5 year period and had a lot of success. A lot of players go D1, a lot of players that made it to the NBA. And from that point, coaching 200-300 games a summer, it really, teaches you what to do. And at the same time, I'm hurt. So instead of being in the gym 8 hours a day, I'm taking guys to the gym. I'm working these young kids out. I'm seeing them develop. I'm seeing them learn the game. I'm really trying to give them the game as much as possible so they can provide for them and their families. And there's no better feeling to see somebody really come up from your tutelage and make it to the highest level. And from that point forward, I knew that basketball was a calling for me, but that ball stops bouncing for everyone. And then I knew the next part was, God gave me a gift to coach, and I started realizing it. I started realizing, some of my closest friends, maybe I was there to help them get better. Maybe I was there just to help them get to a higher level. For example, Joel Embiid, one of my best friends. I remember him being hurt those first 2 years, and I'm texting him every day, and we're keeping up and sending them clips, and all of a sudden, this guy becomes league MVP. So sometimes it's not just about you and what you can do for your career; it's about what you can do for others. And to see guys like Embiid, Brooke and Robin Lopez, and all the kids I've coached at AAU make it, it makes it. Sometimes it makes me feel better about them than my own career.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. You name some names too,
Yeah,
for sure.
I've been lucky. I've been lucky.
Yeah.
Can you tell everybody the name of the AAU program too? Just because I'm probably sure people have ran into the team and then they're probably like, "Man, I didn't even realize that was QP's team."
Yeah, when you got like pan to me. Like it started off as being a team called California United. That's when we were really local. We ended up getting a Nike deal, and then we ventured to be able to be 17U EYBL. Nike wanted us to merge with a couple teams, so we did. The first year was Vegas Prospects. So Jalen House and Josh Christopher and Julian Strother and all those guys, Jalen Hill were on that team. And then the next year we went to Vegas Elite. So we went to Vegas Elite. It was Vegas Elite's first year on 17U EYBL, and that's when you saw the whole thing just blow up. You saw all the highlights from all of our guys, and we're a really, really good EYBL team. And I never wanted to take the credit from my guys. So I think that's my biggest weakness as a coach is I want to put them so much on a pedestal, and I want it to be all about them, that I refuse to do interviews. I refuse to do a lot of things because I want to make it about the kids. But if you pan across that sideline and you ask people in the business, I'm on that sideline in a lot of things that you see, like, damn, that's really Quincy in a polo and some khakis, like coaching these AAU games at 8 in the morning. Like, that's what I did. And thank God it helped me get to be a coach at Washington, and it's helped pave my coaching career for years to come.
Now, and what you just said about like you being in the khakis and the polo on the side coaching, you see a lot of NBA players, a lot of former NBA players who are in the grassroots now. They got AAU teams, but they're not really involved. You know,
Yeah.
they don't they give them money. They show up. You know, you see them do a speech here and there. But I always knew that you were really involved, and you was always going and coaching, and like that's you don't really see that. You know, I see
Yeah.
IT. Obviously, your college teammate Isaiah Thomas. He's involved with his kids. Like it just gives so much more value. You know, when you run in the program and you showing up, and like you said, I think it's just helped take your career into another level. And obviously you're gonna have a great coaching career ahead. So for
Yeah,
sure.
it is tough these days. I get why some guys don't want to do it because sometimes we get too consumed with our own careers, and and it's hard to be around some of these parents and some of these people that they're going to critique everything that you do, and you want to give the game, and sometimes it's kind of tough where uh, you're not might not be appreciated like you are in your career, and you might get some criticism. You might get some parents that say you don't know what the hell you're doing, but it's a risk I was willing to take. Sometimes they want to coach a stacked team. No, like it don't matter, man. You got to do all that yourself. You got to recruit the kids. You got to feed them. You got to do all those things, but it takes a really selfless person to go do all that.
Man, you talk about selfless. You saying all this with a smile on your face. When I started doing the AAU, bro, I'm not going to lie to you. I tell Ray this all the time. I had to take my chip when I was playing, throw that out the window. I'm like, oh my God, we're in a whole different time. And you talk about the parents, the players, like it's way different from 10 years ago, shoot, even 5 years ago. Now it's just starting to change. And what's craziest to me, and that's why I want to ask you, is that even after dealing with all the, kind of you do deal with craziness, having your own AU team and the parents and everything. What made you say, you know what, Quincy, I'm gonna go and decide to coach at Washington? Like, what made you do that after seeing how the AAU scene was going, and then say, I'm gonna go over there and do that too as well?
Man, I like you said, man, I had so many hard decisions to make in AAU, and I think it was preparing me. And when the pandemic happened, I still wanted to play. I was still working out every day. Like, I was put myself in a really dark spot where I'm working out 6 to 8 hours a day. There's no phone calls being made. I'm just waiting by the phone. I'm working out here in Fresno, and there's no AAU. There's nothing. The world kind of stops, and so um, I I a coach had left Washington's program, Coach Cameron Dollar, and we had like an hour-long conversation, and we're talking about life and everything, and talking about AAU and how I've been coaching. And he says, you know what? Hey, since I left, you should call them and try to interview for the job. It won't hurt. It's just going to prepare you for whatever's next in the future, years later when you're done playing your career. Mike Hopkins answers the phone, and I went through like a month and something of interview process. And at the end of that time, he asked me if I wanted the job. And I'll never forget it. I was sitting there, I was on vacation with my friends in Miami. I was like, do I play again in the NBA, or do I give that up to go coach these kids? And they were Washington was off a 5-win season. And I said, I dropped everything and said, I want to go help the program. It's a program that helped make me and my family. Money is a program that I'll always cherish for the rest of my life. Even though I have some hatred towards them right now, but it was one of those things where I'm learning a lot by myself. Is like there's some people that run away from fires. There's some people that run to them to help. I ran to it and want to help the program, and gave up my career for it, and that's history.
If you don't mind me asking, I know Ray knows this question, but what is the interview process like, to be a coach? Like, it's my first time going in. Like, what should I expect if I'm trying to get a coaching job in college?
Man, college is different. So some people will ask you more so about what players can you bring? What are you bringing to the table? Like, what value do you have? What relationships do you have? Some want you to support them. Like, are you going to have my back? Are you going to be someone that's a follower of my programs? And then some are about X and O's and building good chemistry with the staff and just the game of basketball. You know, I think it's been a lot more fewer of the game in basketball than the other way. I think, actually pretty shocked that not many people ask about, can you draw on a board? What 2 minutes left? What are we doing? We're down 6. Like coming up with strategies. A lot of them are focused on what can you bring to the table. And if I was a head coach, I would think more about the X and O's part and building chemistry and building staff and knowing that if you're in this house, can we get this done?
Man,
Go ahead, Ray.
yeah,
Go ahead, Ray. Go ahead.
man, that what you said was, yeah, that was crazy, especially with the, like, what can you bring to the table, and it's not even about the X and O's, and like even in the era we're in now, right? Like you got to see it with the AAU, coaching these guys that eventually turned into NBA players. Like when we all came up getting recruited and you going to a UW and all this stuff was like a big deal. Now it's like there's so much money involved. You can transfer. It's like when he's saying what can you bring to the table? It's like you can bring a lot of things, but it really doesn't matter now. Like what really matters now, like when you're recruiting and getting players and sustainability and all these things, it's like, how does it work?
Man, it's definitely different. Man, maybe I was naive going through the process when I was in college where, there was never money, thrown out there like that, or that wasn't the plan. The plan was to get to the league. The plan was win the Pac-12 championship. The plan was to win. The plan was to develop. And so nowadays, the things that we were accustomed to, or I thought, I still prioritize now, those are not at the forefront of conversations. The forefront of conversations is, what am I going to get out of this? What am I going to get out of coming to your school? Whether it's NIL or are you going to get me to the league as fast as possible? No, like no one's asking, oh, can you coach my son? Can you coach him hard? Those are some of the things. And I think Coach Prime is probably taking a huge hit right now because a lot of times he's showing tough love, which is tough love these days. Our days, it wasn't tough love. You're going to compete for your spot. You're going to compete for your name on your jersey. You're going to compete for your number on your jersey, instead of, it being handed to you. And you guys could probably think about this. Like, how would you guys react these days if you had to go to college and you didn't have to earn it? Or if you had a money incentive there, or NIL incentive, and you're making 6 figures, 7 figures. Would I be hungry to go to the gym at midnight like I did every day in college, or 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning? Would I be inclined to not drink, not smoke, not do anything when I was in college? Or would I be like, man, my feet are kicked up. People already say I'm going to the league. Coach going to give me this money shots. This is not happening. Man, the reason why I made it so long in my career is because I had to go through so many fires. And that's the same fire that I learned in college, going through those grueling days of Coach Dollar and Coach Romar. Same thing that helped me become a starter in the NBA. It's the same thing that's going to make me the best possible coach I could be, because a no isn't going to deter me. Like a failure isn't going to deter me, or a hard time is going to deter me. All it's going to do is fuel me. And, you got to watch out for some of those people that, use that motivation for their success.
It's kind of funny you talked about just being the skill of retaining talent. Trey said the exact same thing, with us the last time about being able to retain talent, and then not being X's and O's, but just kind of talking about that and going into this transfer portal. Was that a new process for you too as well? Because I feel like the transfer portal really started getting hot as soon as you started coaching. How was it when it first started as a coaching staff? What was that process like for you guys in terms of dealing with the transfer portal and trying to figure that out?
So the job I got, and the job I signed up for, where there was no money, there's no nothing, and I get hired for this job. 4 months later, there's rumblings of this NIL thing, and nobody knows what it is. And then from that, and what the money was and the NIL was at that time, to the job it is now, is two completely different jobs. Two completely different jobs. Like, I mean, from what it was then to now, it couldn't be two further apart jobs. Where the transfer portal thing, now it's become, it was there, but now kids are just searching for money, searching for NIL, searching for opportunity. Oh, coach is tripping. All right, I'm about to go play here instead. And there's a lot less loyalty. But it's a tough job, man. It's hard. You have to recruit your kids year round nowadays. That's what it's become, because at any point in time they could dip on you. They could go find their greener pasture. And that's what's become really, really hard in this climate of basketball. Because it's something that you want to say, you might not be able to say it because you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Or you got to make sure that hopefully your school has great NIL for them, and you're going to be looking at other schools and other players throughout your year, like, damn, that kid looks kind of good. I'm at the end of the season, I might have to reach out to him. And so it's a whole different ball game. And I just, like someone said the other day, like, this thing has gotten so ridiculous. Like, imagine at the end of this season, NBA season, everyone's a free agent. Like, no matter what contract they got, everyone's a free agent.
Yeah.
So you could be the best coach in the world. You strike out in that portal, it's gonna be tough. So it's a really tough ball game. And sometimes you could have success, and that could be your killer for you. So you're at a mid-major school, you have success, your kid has success, your NIL might not be up to the par of some of the major schools, and somebody might just say, here's a bag, a crazy bag. Can't turn it. The kid's not gonna turn it down. Damn, I've always wanted to go to that school, or Michigan, or Arizona, or whatever it is. Now that Duke or whatever is calling you, they're gone. And it's just, part of the game.
And even like, okay, you've been at some big schools, and we've talked to my dad. My dad's coaching at a smaller school. We had a coach on here, Trey Ziegler, last week. At the time was at a smaller school, and he was saying, like, trying to be able to retain players, and if they have a good season, like you said, they're going to go get a bag. Okay, you're coming from a bigger conference, like, it's even harder at the big schools, right? From what I'm seeing, like, guys are going from Arizona to North Carolina, and guys are leaving Duke and going up. It doesn't really matter where you're at. The money's there, and they're going, right?
Yeah, guys, they said, guys are leaving from Ohio State to Michigan. Guys are leaving from Auburn to Alabama. They're like, those things don't even go together. Like, what the hell is going on where, there's a rivalry or all those things? Like, I think one thing that I don't like about this climate of basketball is the school spirit of the game is died, to me. Like, whether it's, it meant the world to me to go to Washington, stay 4 years. I go back to every football game and all this, and because I have school pride, school spirit. If you go into 6 different colleges, who are you cheering for on Saturday football game? Like, who? What jersey are you wearing? Like, like the whole school spirit and school pride thing is dying by the second, and that's what made the game so exciting. That's what made these kids became household names because they're at a university for years. You know what I'm saying? So the women's game has come up because those girls are a little bit more loyal in their schools. You see the same names. They're at the same universities year after year.
Yeah.
You grow with them. It's being built with them. The men's game is like, oh yeah, he's there now. Like, wait, he's there. Like, you don't know. You can't build with these names, and you don't grow with these names like you used to.
Well, with that being said too, how do you feel about, because we talk about this a lot. with a player, when you hear that they're making more money that they probably would make in their overseas career, because overseas, some people might make 3,000 a year. Like, do you fault them for having that mentality where it's like, this might be the only time I can really see, all the work that I put in and all the value I put in and be able to make a certain amount. Whereas, if they go overseas or something, they'll probably never see that money ever again, to be honest. Do you
Man,
fault kids for them?
I can't
Yeah.
fault them, man. There's so much money in collegiate sports right now. So I can't fault them. I can't be like the old dude, like, man, back in my day we didn't get paid and all. I understand the guy that might not have the opportunity, or he sees his window closing, that he needs to maximize his dollar as quick as possible. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, one thing that sticks out to me is they're amateurs still. So instead of a work ethic like Ray has, or myself, we're being a pro, or what a pro is, you're playing amateurs like they're pros, and then they don't approach the work like they're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
That's the issue. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. Make your money. Do what you got to do. But with that being said, and with you making that much money, approach the game like that. Go out there and earn your dollar every day, instead of be like, man, I got paid, I'm chilling. And that's the problem, because they're amateurs. They don't know, or they're not at that level to be like, I'm handling my business and I'm playing as hard as I possibly can for this. Some dudes, they get that NIL and they get the guarantee and they say, oh man, I'm chilling, I'm gonna kick back now. I don't think that's fair to the game. I don't think that's fair to the university. I don't think that's fair to the NILs that are paying you for the hopes of you giving good light on their NIL.
Yeah. For me, I came out of D2. Even us getting a full money for like all of our meals was a big deal for me. So that kind of what has led me to play overseas for so long, because we didn't have anything. So a lot of times when I would go overseas in spots, a lot of times players would look at this situation and be like, man, we ain't got this and this and that. And I used to be like, man, shoot, I didn't have nothing. Shoot, at D2.
Yeah.
I bring that to say, even from the D1, you guys both play high level D1 too as well. Do you feel like the hunger is still there to battle through adversity in terms of dealing with a coach? I know Justin always used to talk to me about Romar and how tough it was during his time. Do you feel like that hunger is still there?
Romar wouldn't have got away with what we went through these days. No way.
And you guys had NBA guys. You had UIT, Spencer Hawes, Justin Holiday. Guys that played NBA for a long time. Shoot, two of which are still playing as we're speaking right now.
Yeah.
Do you feel like now, since you've been at UW, do you kind of flash back and be like, damn, like, did you find yourself doing that when you were coaching at UW? Like, man, it's not the same, bro, like how it was when I was there.
Man, I tell this story all the time. My freshman year, I was averaging like 18 after New Year's. I was the second leading scorer in the conference. I'm crept up on draft boards. They had me top 20, all this. I have a bad weekend in LA. I still scored the ball decently. I had a bad weekend against USC and UCLA. And all of a sudden, Coach Romar was like, you're coming off the bench. We were like 10-3 or something. He was like, you're coming off the bench. I was like, what? You could not do that these days. Like, you could get killed in the media. It was unbelievable. Like, I'll never forget. I always mess with him. I'll call him these days. Like, you couldn't do that. Like what you did to me back then. Like these days. And I stayed 4 years. I was a guy that every year was like, maybe he could go to the league. And Romar was going to tell my parents, like, yo, he still has things to learn. He still has to develop. He still has to learn how to play defense. He still has to do all these things. And so, that hunger and loyalty and staying there, I don't think a kid could go through that these days, because they have so many people in their ear telling them, you got to go this way, or you got to go this path, or maybe it's better over here. But those qualities helped make me the player I became. And you know what? I think it's just another thing I think is just really too easy to make the NBA right now. From where I was at in starting college, and it's gone by fast. Where there wasn't tank teams as much, or there weren't teams that just had a bunch of young guys and said, "All right, we're going to toss out the ball and give you guys 4 years to figure this thing out." My rookie year, after staying 4 years, I was still the youngest on the team at 21, 22 years old. I was the youngest and had no other guy close within my age, and no other rookies, no nothing. And there was a lot of teams like that. Gordon Hayward went through it at Utah Jazz. Paul George went through it at Indiana, where we weren't playing that much. You had to go earn it. Jimmy Butler, like all these guys had to go earn it at a time. And nowadays they're just saying, all right, we're going to toss you guys out there. We don't care if we're losing by 40 every game. You're going to win 10 games or whatever it is. And by 3-4 years, we'll see the return on our investment, hopefully. And, we'll have two-way deals and we have all these things. And I just think it's too easy to wear that jersey now, instead of being so cherished like I thought the NBA was in my time.
Man, right. Yeah. Bro is getting into the bars. We, even before I get a little bit into the NBA, seeing what IT, Justin, so many of you guys had to deal with. What are some things that you can tell guys in terms of the hunger, in terms of, the process? What are some things that you saw from them in college where you were like, yo, like they were going to be there too?
Man, Justin never backed down from anything. Him being frail, and one thing that always stood out about Justin, his IQ is already that Holiday family IQ is always really, really high. Their parents, the best people I've ever met in my life. I think their family as a whole is unbelievable. And you could tell they play the game the right way, every last one of them. And Justin, from the beginning, he always knew the game. You just knew, and he's one of the best people ever. So you don't have to worry about him, being late or missing curfew, or not taking care of business in the classroom, and all those things that he is and they are as a family. It shows up on the court. And him being one of the most unbelievable teammates, always kept everybody together, always laughing, always dancing. Those things, man, they translate more than anything. And I think it was, again, selfless is the word. And he continued to develop. I think he waited his turn. He got to learn from, a lot of good veterans, and man, to see him have the career he's had, I don't think there's anyone more proud of him than me. I think, especially like not expecting it, a guy that was like my senior year, he was averaging like 5 points a game or something like that. And me and IT would never pass him the ball. And then he goes out and has the longest career out of any of us. And, it's because he does the right thing, man. He wears a hard hat on the defensive end. He's going to be all about the team. He hits his open shots. He plays the game the right way. And his heart needs to be studied. If they could study, someone could find a way to study his heart and his brain, it would be very beneficial, because I don't think there's anyone with a bigger heart than him. I don't think anyone is more stably focused on their goals, or stubbornly focused on their goals, than him. I think it's been amazing. I think the most impressive I've been with him is now. I think, seeing him at UW, I would call him to come play and practice with us, this year. And, every morning I walk in the office, he's in there working out, whether it's by himself, having trainers, doing whatever, always working out, and it's just like, after hearing no, after all this time, to see him go through the fire unscathed and still having that, belief in himself is something to be admired, man. I love that dude. It's funny because when we're going through it in college, we were each other's competition. Hey, he thinks it's his team. I think it's my team. He take a bad shot, I'm looking at him like he crazy. I take a bad shot, he looking at me the same way. And, like it was such a brotherly competition through everything. In practice, we didn't want to practice with each other. whatever, because we wanted it to be our team my senior year. And it was beautiful, man. He raised the competition from everybody. He didn't back down from nobody, whether you're 7 feet or 5'10". He gonna tell you he might whoop your ass or something like that. Like, there's no one more competitive than him. And I loved it, man. It was funny. Like, we didn't admit this until like a couple years ago, but I used to go in the gym all the time, especially at night, and I used to go with my crew, and we'd get our work in, and he'll come down and he'll be there, whether he was there before me or there, in the middle of my workout. He'll go with his friends, and I'll be working out. And then as soon as he walks in, I'm like, oh, I can't leave now. So I'm doing my workout, and then my workout's extending because he got there later than me, and now he's working out a certain amount of time. And before you know it, we in there like 3-4 hours. It's like, we had that competition with each other where it's like, oh, I'm not leaving before he leave. And he felt the same way. So we end up just being in there all day. And then we finally like laughed about it now. It's like, because we peeping down at each other, but we not talking. Like, I ain't gonna say we were best friends or nothing like that in college, but we were brothers, and it was such a mutual respect because of how we approached the game. And he still has that fire today, and to see him in his career and becoming what he did, and he's a legend forever.
You don't have a story of y'all at practice or anything that comes to mind with y'all, like that, or in the game that really kind of just sticks out between y'all two?
I think there's a lot. I think there would be times that I remember I would have it going. This happened a couple times. I think it was like the UCLA game my senior night, and he was basically like, "You got it going enough. It's like, it's my turn now." Like, and it was just, there was a whole bunch of instances like that where we would kind of clash, and I would I was the older guy at the time. I felt it was my team, and so but the funniest thing I think is, um, my senior year, I got to hit a big shot in the NCAA tournament first round. It was my year, and led us to Sweet 16. It was an unbelievable year. But that shot against Jimmy Butler, I'm like, man, that's going to be the best Husky shot in Husky history forever. The very next year, he takes on a lot of my personality that year, and he ends up hitting an even better shot than mine. So it's like, it was pretty funny because then we look back at it, it's like, all right, that was a little bit of a competition in it, and people don't really realize it. But I'm like, damn, like, he beat my shot, and but I'm happy for him in his career, and I think he's one of my favorite players of all time.
Damn, that's fire.
Yeah, that's deep. I got one last question for you, Q.
Yeah.
Just as a player, I see a lot of guys when they're like kind of getting to the end. Some guys want to get in coaching, whatever they want to do next. Like, what's some advice for I don't know, some guys that are coming to the end of their career that want to get in coaching, whether it's NBA level or overseas, whatever it is. Like, what are some of the things? What's the best way they can kind of get into the college coaching door or NBA, whatever?
You got to jump in. You know what? I got nudged into mine. I've always admired coaches. Like, I admire Coach Romar. I admire Monty Williams, who's a huge mentor for me even to this day. Lionel Hollins is a great coach, and I was hurt, and I was in New Orleans, and Alvin Gentry one day was like, "Q, come to these coaches meetings." I was like, "What?" He was like, "Come to coaches meeting." He's like, "I want you to learn the business." He's like, "You already the leader. You're already the captain of our team. You're a great teammate to these guys. You're already a great mentor." He's like, "Come to coaches meeting." So I was like, "Okay." And so it takes a little bit of a shot to your ego to where, it does hurt to be like, "Hey, man, you probably better off as a coach than a player." But like, it was more like, he kind of nudged me, and I'll never forget that. I went to a few coaches meetings, and I started looking at the game differently. And I think, every player that's out there, that think, even if you're a superstar or whatever, that you think you might want to get into coaching, start now. I think, that starts with watching film. That starts with, maybe being in coaching meetings, maybe pick a couple of your coaches' brains. Because I know once I got into coaching, even, my last 3 years were basically I was a coach on the bench. That's what I was in my career. And I got to see the game a lot differently. I got to see, the game slow down as far as everything on the court, X and O's wise. And then I got to see like my personality and how it affects people, like, and how everyone else's personality affects people. So if you walk in on a bad day and this dude is tripping on the team, that dude's tripping, their chemistry's not right, and you start looking at those things and prioritizing those things a little bit more, so you'll realize like, damn, I can't walk in with that attitude today, no matter what's going on at home or whatever. Like, I have to come in, on my right shit, because it affects everybody. And so as a coach, you look at all those things, because you're not just worried about one person. You're not just worried about yourself. As a coach, you got to worry about all 15 dudes. And so, that's what changed my scope on everything. And it's helped me out to this day.
Man, it's kind of funny just hearing you guys, because my perspective is the same, but it's also I didn't play in the NBA, so how important is it to start networking? As a player, because I see Ray a lot of times, and it's the same with you. You guys go to gyms, and this is why you're still playing. Y'all know everybody in the gym. For me, I had to like really start to like introduce myself to everybody in the room so people know who I am. For you guys, I feel like you guys did a good job of building the network while you were playing. And how important can you say that is to players? Because I look back when I played overseas, I'm like, man, I should have made a little bit more network with people in places overseas, even if that was a different team. For you guys, what would you say in terms of like building that network as you're playing and how to do that?
Man, it goes fast. It goes fast, man. So, when you're in the NBA, you just feel invincible. Um, you feel like it's never gonna end. You feel like, I'm gonna have all these people calling my phone all the time. They're already blowing me up, for this and that, and you're turning it down. You turn your phone over. You're not even, paying attention to them. You might not send an email or that text that you're supposed to. But as soon as that ball stops bouncing, it happens. And so, as much as we want to say that to the younger generation or the guys that are coming after us, they don't realize it until it happens. All the friends that you had, or, the relationships that you should have made, you know, they disappear, they evaporate as soon as you finish playing. And that's for everybody. That's for myself. That's for most guys that don't play. I mean, that, maybe LeBron James, they'll stick around, but at the end of the day, to a degree, it's not the same excitement for them. And so, make that phone call, make that text, save somebody's number, pick their brain, go to somebody's office in a different field for a day. Find what your passion is outside the game, but still prioritize the game, because that's where most of your contacts and your career success is going to come from. But at the same time, don't be afraid to make that call, that text, or to do something else. Even if you have an assistant or something, have them do it. Have them reach out. Have them send a thank you text. Because at the end of the day, once that ball stops bouncing, man, it gets quiet for everybody.
Yeah.
He's right, and it's funny. You said we know a lot of people. Q knows way more people than I do, but just 2 cents on it. Like, Q had a whole career in the league. Me being a guy who had a little short stint in the league and then coming overseas, he was talking about when the ball stops bouncing, I'm still hooping, and it's like when you come over the water, it's like you initially kind of forgotten about. It's like out of sight, out of mind. So even though I'm still playing, you still have that same type of feeling. And like you said, just having the connections, like, it's crazy. I did your camp, I don't know, 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Something crazy, something like that. Maybe, I don't know, 9 years ago. Now we're on the pod talking. So it is like that. When you're in the league, you're the guy, everyone wants to be your friend, wants to talk to you. Like I said, even still playing now, when you come across the water, it's like you don't hear from those people anymore, so times are definitely different. And but when you do it right and you have good relationships, in the end, it works out for you for sure.
No, the funny thing is, like, I was like, I didn't change. Like, it's like I actually have like more money and resources than I did when I played. Like, like what the hell? Like, why is everybody like treating me like a little different now? It's like, damn, it's because of the game, really? Like, or that person's like not there yet. You know what I'm saying? They don't have 9 years yet. Like, and you just see it, and it takes it takes, that learning phase of your life to learn it, and it happens to us all. And you know, hopefully, there's a period of time where the next generation of player realizes that it is a short league, and hopefully you can make it the longest as possible. And but at the same time, like, you got to prioritize your friends and your family that really genuinely care about you, and also just start figuring out your next career path, even during.
Yeah. Q, I got a couple more for you. I got to ask you about Fresno State because it kind of got brought up in the gym. I ain't going to say from who, but, people are like kind of shocked. Number one, I know it came out that it was a 5-year, I guess the requirement was you being able to coach, being a coach for 5 years. You only reached the 3-year mark. What is your thought process on that? Because first off, you're from Fresno. Everyone knows you from there. NBA player from there. Coaching experience too as well. Did that hurt your feelings a little bit? Like, just talk about that.
I'm devastated about it, man. As you can see, I'm here in my Fresno house right now. I'll never forget what Fresno State did in this time. I think it's I thought I was more than qualified for the job. Especially when you see somebody like JJ Redick today, that they said, oh, well, he's going to get a head coaching job or he's interviewing for the head coaching job of the Charlotte Hornets. And then, he doesn't have any coaching experience. So it's like, if LeBron James wanted this job, or Chris Paul or something, you guys are going to tell him no? Steph Curry, you're going to tell him no? I'm not those guys, but if there's a prerequisite there of 5 years, then for everyone it should be like that. But there's a lot of layers to the story, and there's a lot that'll come out later. I feel like I know that there's been no one that's affected Central Valley basketball more than me in the last 15 years. All the top players from this section have come, whether it's through my backyard working out or come through my AU programs, going to my camps. So, all those players that are asking me, yo, Q, what are you about to do? Are you going to get the Fresno State job? All the local players. I said, man, I didn't get it. Oh, well, we're not going there. So it hurts because I just want to take care of the program. I want to take care of the city. I just want to make sure, I want to make that program elite, not just locally, but nationally. And for what I went through in that situation, I'll never forget it. And it's been very devastating for me and my family. Yeah, I don't know if I'll get over that one. I think there's a lot to the story, and there's a lot of people behind the scenes, and it hurts. It hurts.
No, I could tell. No, and it just kind of reminds me of hoop in a sense, because I could see like that hunger and that passion come from you. So it's gonna have that. You're gonna have that chip on your shoulder probably forever, and not forgetting that moment. And it's probably gonna make you a better coach too as well, because you're always gonna have that hunger and drive, kind of just remembering the times where you didn't get the opportunity that you wanted. So I can see it's still there by the way you talk about it. I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, but just imagine, like, you have the answer and you're like, I'm the guy. Like, you're screaming to the world, like, I'm the person for this. Like, don't mess this up. And then they mess it up. And so it's like that part hurts. And especially with it wasn't fair. When those things come out, and the process of what they went through, I don't think it was fair. And so, maybe I got to get a little bit more experience, and maybe I got to get to that 5-year mark or whatever it is. But, my years of coaching AAU, my nearly 10 years in NBA of coaching or playing, 3 years at Washington, where we had success, and I became an elite recruiter. I became a great player development guy. I ran our offense this last year, which became a top 30 offense in the country. All those things. And then there's like, oh, you're not good enough. It's like, all right, like, but don't not even get a phone call. And everyone in the world is saying that's the right guy to have.
Yeah.
But hope they do well with their high school coach.
Yeah. Dang. Okay. All right. Well, then going in, from from that, what has the process been like in terms of building a network? I mean, not building a network, excuse me. You know, looking for a job. How is that process now? Do you still go through phone calls? Do you wait for a phone, like the phone to ring? Because I remember how it is overseas. We just sitting there hooping, waiting for the phone call to come through. On the
Man,
coaching side, how is it now?
you definitely wait on this thing all day. But,
Bro had the iPhone next to the computer.
Oh yeah, like you definitely. I sleep with it like under my pillow, so waiting for it. But there's been calls. There's been opportunities. I'm a person that I can't go coach somewhere that I don't believe in. I can't go give a half-hearted effort. I can't go be 1 foot in somewhere. Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to go do something, I'm going to go be at a place. I got to go somewhere that I truly believe in and love. Like, I retired from my basketball career to go coach at Washington. Like, that's a passion. I did everything in my power to get the Fresno State job. I raised over $1.5 million in NIL, and I had celebrities tweeting and all this, and so many other people that were going to give money to the program because I want to be here with my family and I want to really revive that program. That's another passion. So, my hometown and my college, like, where's the next passion project for me? And, that's what it's all about. If you can't give your 110% effort, maybe it doesn't work out for you. But that's where I want to be, is wherever I feel my calling is. And I'm able to give my best effort with, the plethora of kids that I have in my pipeline that I've coached in AAU. And, like my cousin Wesley Yates, he's a 5-star kid. And he sat out this year in Washington. He's my cousin, my little cousin. I want to coach him. Braxton Mia is my nephew. We adopted him when he was 16. He's become all Pac-12 defender, and he's an NBA type big. I want to coach him, so like, and I have other little cousins that are coming up. Like my little cousin's a rising freshman. He's like top 5 in the country, Leighton Leonard. I have another cousin in Illinois, Davion Thompson. He's #1 point guard in the state there, and he's one of the top in the country. And it's like, and I have so many other kids in the whole pipeline. I want to coach the people I know, I love, and I could give to. And once I decide which route that is, I'll take it. But maybe it's college, maybe it's high school, maybe it's NBA. But I'm really taking some time, step back after the Fresno State debacle to figure out what I'm going to do.
Last 3 questions, I promise. I was literally about to ask you, when you see, because I'm just getting really, really actively involved in the high school scene. Me and Zoom, we ended up getting a strong relationship. Yes. Zoom's Diallo. How does it, for you, you're not at Washington anymore, and then you guys recruit a guy like Zoom, and then seeing what they have to go through that process. How is it for you seeing, those type of guys and what they have to go through in terms of making that decision now? Do you stay? Do I leave? Like, how do you feel for them in terms of that?
It's tough, man, because like Ray went to go play for his dad. I went to go play for people I trusted. When those people aren't there anymore, how hard is it to stay? Because you're going to have to build a whole new relationship with them. And the part to this game and the part to coaching that's different in college is, sometimes people might not have the best intentions as far as staff. So if I'm an assistant coach and I bring in 3 players that are my kids and I have a tight relationship with them and their families and AAU coaches and agents, and I'm going to be pushing for them. Some people, they do this. They push for them in the coaches' meetings. I'm going to be pushing for that kid. So if no one recruited that kid, Zoom or something like that, no one recruited him there. So who's in the meeting really fighting for him when that other guy brought in 2-3 other players of his own? Mm. So like a lot of times that's how it is. I hate it looking at it like that. Man, play the best player. Play who deserves it. And I feel like, that could get you in trouble where you play someone that you might be forced to play someone that someone else has a relationship with that has the coach's ear or whatever it is. Like, nah, play the best player, man. But again, this is a business. I bring in 4 or 5 players, 6 players, people are looking at me as like I'm the hottest recruiter. So then you gotta pay me more. So I retain my job. I get to take care of my family. So there's a lot to it, but I wish that kids could really look at it from a different perspective and seeing like, people have ulterior motives a lot of times in these situations.
Yep. And then going into AAU, you just finished playing, and now you're on the recruiting trail. There's been a big debacle about a lot of the kids that aren't in the top 100 not being recruited because of this portal. When you go out to AAU and look for players, what are some things you look for? Can you please talk to these players? Because a lot of people think, I got to score 20 to 25. A lot of times when you look at those players, you tell them, like, that's not going to translate over here. They're not going to score 20 to 25 points. A lot of people think that that's the only thing, but you look for specific needs: rebounding, shooting a three, playing off of screens, going off of a double pin down, double away, wide action, whatever. Can you talk about what you look for through finding players?
I think some coaches, and that's how they get caught up, is they go off of these rankings and they just take a kid off a ranking, but they don't do their due diligence of just really like looking at their game. And that's where, guys get caught up at. And, when I go in there, I look at it completely different. I look at it more through an NBA eyes and lens through it than anything. So I'm looking at like, all right, first of all, I've already done a lot of due diligence and research before I even walk in that gym. I already know who I'm looking at, kind of seeing like, all right, how are they going to approach the game? Are they walking in there with some the pajama pants on with flip flops?
Oh, you're starting early. Okay, I bet.
You got to start early, right?
I mean, shoot, they be coming in Chrome Hearts now. So when they come with the Chrome, I'm like, oh, I better see some Chrome games in too. So that's my thought process.
Ray knows. Like NBA work, they looking at you from warm ups, from the time you get off the bus. They doing their background on your girlfriends and everything. Like, you got to do your background, your research. So as you walk in that gym, I'm gonna see how you walk in. I'm gonna see if you're paying attention to coach. I'm gonna see if you're warming up with your teammates hard. I'm gonna watch how you approach the game. I'm gonna see if you're playing hard. I'm gonna see your attitude when things may not go your way. And then you got to start breaking down the game. Like, all right, does it have prototypical size? Can we build on that size? Mm-hmm. What's the jump shot looking like? Can we fix the jump shot? What's the work ethic like? And then how does it fit our team? And then, all right, do we have a chance to take a project that's going to last a year or two? Like, do I see him being 1 and done, 2 and done? Or is this a 4-year guy? Or, damn, maybe I got to go in that portal to go, get a need that we have right away. So how you build your rosters, especially your top 8 guys, you kind of want them to be more veteran laden unless you have a high level player. But then after that, you got to fill out that 9 to 13 with guys that might not play that much, the guys that you're going to have to develop over some time. And so it's definitely a process. I have not recruited kids because of their parents and the circus around them.
I'm glad you said that.
And sometimes, they might be too much into Swish culture than everything else, man. Like,
hey, we tried to show the game the right way. You know what I'm saying, my dog?
Jordan messing it up, man.
Jordan might be messing it up, man.
I told you, Jay. So you messing up the game, Jay.
Man, bro, man, we trying to show the right way. That's why I ask you these questions, because I'm glad you said the pajama pants, because, like, people don't understand, like, when you come into a situation, you got to be prepared at all times. They look at everything.
I ain't got no hair, but the doing this and messing with your hair all day and like
the do-rags, the silk do-rags too? The silk do-rag too?
I'm watching it all. Because like at the end of the day, you especially in IL now in place, you're representing there's money on the line for this. And this is NCAA term is $1 billion corporation. Like we can't just have anything going in there because that one player that you think, oh, it's not the big deal that they have a bad attitude or they're not handling the game right way, it could cost you your job. So, you got to take those things really serious.
Man, I'm glad you said that. I've been trying to tell the young boys, man, it starts with everything, but they got to hear it first. That's why I ask you these questions. And then I appreciate you really saying that. What do you feel like is wrong with AU right now, though, in terms of the million team players transferring and doing all that. What do you feel like is wrong right now that you're seeing in terms of AU basketball?
We just have to get one unified AU thing going instead of it being so many leagues. I think there's so many different leagues, so many different tournaments, and so it gets watered down. And I think you need to have more consistency with, like, there's too many tournaments, and you just need more structure to this thing. Like, it's becoming so much about like clickbait and all these things. And this guy went off. Like, one thing my biggest pet peeve is like, what's name went off? He went off for 22 points. But then you like look in the back and you're like, yo, they lost by 46. Like, what is going on? What was the score? Like, let's emphasize winning and the score more.
Right,
Like,
that's true.
I can't stand that. Like, when I play AAU, I played for one of the best AAU teams ever. We didn't lose in July 2 years in a row.
Well, EBO?
EBO, Brooke and Robin Lopez. We were like the first circus. It was all about winning.
We do our research over here. Okay, I'm just making sure. All right.
But we were the first like circus, but it was all about winning. We did a real training camp for like a month. It was like 6 dudes staying in my house, like in the same room. Like we grinded it out. It wasn't, what it's become today. And it was 13 guys, all 13 went D1. Everybody had to earn their minutes. We played to win. So back then, it was just a bracket. It was like you walked in the gym, it was a big bracket. Hopefully you remember this. And like you had to stay in the main gym or the main court or the coaches weren't there.
Facts.
Like, so if you didn't win, you're going off to a random gym in Vegas that no coach is at.
Yeah.
And there used to be this everybody at the main gyms. And so like nowadays I've seen some of the best players, they play for the worst teams and everybody is packed. And it's like, you had to really put in work and win games for it to be packed. Nowadays, you could be the worst and lose everything and be in a packed gym because you have a social media following. And I think that's one thing that is not just hurting. It's not just hurting high school. It's not just hurting college. It's hurting the NBA because who cares about winning nowadays? Is it about your legacy of winning nowadays, or is it about like I got this, like I got my game, my bag is crazy? Like, is this a different game than we're growing up that I grew up in?
Man, last question, but hold up. You were dropping some real bars because I remember when you used to lose back in the day, not only did you have the 9 a.m. game, you were playing at a high school or a middle school nobody knew about, and coach was hot. Yo, no scouts would be in there.
Versus a team from Utah that was going to backdoor your ass.
Yeah, facts, bro. Be hot,
like,
bro.
Yo, they hit 9 threes already. Like, what is going on? Like, it was just a different era, man. You had to win. I remember like our AU coach used to be like, yo, y'all win, I'm gonna take y'all to the Adidas store and y'all gonna get $200 gift cards. Hell yeah. Like, we got the buffet and a $200 gift card. Bro, a kid will laugh at you these days if you said something like that.
Facts.
So it was just such a different era, man, where, and I'll always cherish those days with my brothers at EBO. And we had a lot of success, and it really sets you up for the future because nothing was handed. And we all came with that grind mentality. And to see us all come from like unranked dudes to, Brooke and Robin being top whatever, McDonald's, and myself, and so Derek Jasper, which was unbelievable point guard that went to Kentucky. Trayvon Willis was, one of the best players from Fresno ever. Those days, they last with me a lot more than, even some of my NBA days.
Yeah. Last question. So we play a game of NIL, and basically what this game is I give you a player and you tell me what the NIL evaluation is.
Oh, shit.
You right? So it's an old time. It's an old time. We're not doing anything now. No players now.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
look now, I saw your facial. Yeah, exactly. All right. So cool. What does Quincy Pondexter make in NIL on his last year at UW?
Oh, I'm in 7 figures. I'm in 7 figures.
Hey, bro, he didn't even it was quick response.
I'm a 7 figure. Especially if I got the bonus year. The bonus, the 5th year. That's the one that be getting everybody.
The COVID
Imagine
year joint?
I had the fourth year, and it's like, oh man, do I go to the league or do I get this fifth year with this? Ooh, yeah, it's seven figures. It's up there.
Okay. All right, and then let's go on to James Harden, Arizona State.
Seven figures. Seven figures. First year, 750, 800. Second year, $1 million plus.
Okay. And then let me go to Hassan Adams, Arizona. Still 7?
Hot sauce he was tough, man. He was the reason I wanted to go to Arizona.
Me too.
He up there 700 for sure.
So I ask you that now because I gave you 3. In the Pac-12, like minimal, what do you think players make in terms of like being a top guy? You just start off 7.
I don't know, man. I think every institution varies, or every NIL collective varies. And
I asked you Pac-12 too, not Big Ten. So we're not talking about Big Ten. We're talking about Pac-12.
Pac-12, it just varies, man, because this is all new. So I don't think there's a consistent bar in what collectives are doing right now. I think it's just like, and everything is hearsay. So, we see it on Twitter, and somebody might be like, oh, yeah, he got a $2 million deal or $8 million deal in a Rolls Royce. You're like, man, that's crazy. And their actuality, like, yo, he got like 200,000. So it's like, we don't know because it doesn't have to be reported. Like NBA, I got to know your contract. I get to see it. College, there's no reporting of it. So everything is just hearsay. And I think that's one of the hardest things because you don't know what the other school is capable of doing in NIL versus what your NIL collective or people are doing. So, and everybody's trying to search for the biggest number, and then you have agents involved. So I think that's one of the hardest things. Agents are trying to figure out, where they could get the biggest collective for their player or number for their player. And he could be, fibbing a little bit about the numbers. So he could be like, oh, that school offered them $2 million. And you're just like, really? Like, all right, well, if you want them, you could get them at this price. And so it's just, it's a different day. And with everyone has to go through nowadays, as far as these collectives and NIL situations and dealing with agents.
And I'll leave you with this. Has a parent ever, when you guys had a meeting, said, you know what, we're going to start off with this, man. I'm just not going to beat around the bush. I feel like my kid is a 7-figure kid. This is what we're looking for. Is that happen more than not?
I believe every school in America is dealing with that at some level. At every school, every level.
7?
No, not 7.
No,
I'm
not
just
7.
saying, like
Okay.
every school right now, every parent is going to come to the meeting or their representative is going to come to the meeting and say, what can your NIL do for my kid? What does it look like at your school? That's the beginning of the conversation now. It's not, hey, he's going to play point guard. He's going to come off the bench. He's going to run floppy. What kind of plays you guys run in transition? What kind of defense you guys going to run? No. Like, what's the accounts looking like? And then from there, they might talk about some basketball.
Damn. All right,
that's crazy.
We're gonna leave on that note. Quincy, my dog, we gotta have you on again at some point, bro.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Hey, bro, you have so much knowledge, my dog. I really appreciate you, spreading that knowledge and giving us your time too. I know stuff's been probably kind of crazy, but yeah, I appreciate you, bro. Always love, bro.
Oh man, always, man. If y'all need me for anything, I'm always here, man. I'm proud of you, especially how far you come with Swish Cultures. Appreciate Ray, you and your family are my people, man. So keep doing what y'all doing, man. I'm proud of y'all, and I'm always here to support.
Thank you, my dog.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, dog.
Appreciate you.
Always, man.
All right, my dog.